Hey guys, what's up? I'm here to finally give you an animation tutorial on something many of you have requested. Lip syncing! In lip syncing, you have to understand how phonetics work and how our mouths are positioned in order to produce certain sounds represented by letters and letter combinations. Here, I've drawn out all of the typical mouth positions I use in order to have my characters pronounce words. I'll leave a link in the description to this image. Remember that you're more than welcome to vary and exaggerate these in order to better emphasize your lip syncing. It's the same logic where it's easier to read someone's lips if they're really articulating their words as opposed to just mumbling them. It's also important to pay attention to the dialogue and remember what kind of tone you're trying to portray with your words. If the character is cheerful, then you'll most likely arc their mouth upwards to indicate that they're happy. If they're sad or distraught, then you'd obviously arc it the other direction. I'm going to go through each shape and give word examples with their respective letters. First, we have the closed mouth position, which I generally use to pronounce these three letters, such as mom, bob, and poop. Next, we have the generic open mouth. This will probably be one of your most used positions because it covers most of the short vowel sounds, such as apple, egg, in, and up. Next is the clenched teeth, and this will also be one of your most used positions. It includes words such as sassy, Cindy, Zordon, dog, navy, shackles, tumble, not tumbler, giraffe, cheese, and justice. Next, there's this one, which covers any long E sounds. The way I like to remember this is the word teeth, because it has a long E sound, and it shows the teeth. Note that the mouth is slightly open with a gap between the teeth, as opposed to the one before where the teeth are clenched. Next is probably one of my favorites because it's what I like to call the Lisp, and it covers words like theory, then, and eight. Next is the long O and U sounds, such as pool and cute. Next is the F and V sounds. Pretty straightforward. A good word example would be fever. Next is the R sound. While I sometimes use the first position to represent R sounds, I kind of prefer the second underbite position because I feel it better emphasizes the sound. And I like explaining this position because I tell people to imagine a really dapper British tea party. Like, yeah, just quite ravishing. Next is the L sound, represented by your tongue touching the roof of your mouth. Again, pretty straightforward. La 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 la. Next, I have the short O sound, in which the jaw is a bit more extended for words like awful and taunt. Now, the last one is a bit optional because in this one, I have the ka, ga, and ha sounds represented through this position, when really these sounds are situational and could be pronounced with some of the previous positions. So now that we covered that, let's lip sync a sentence. Many animators like to have their lip poses saved in their library so they could just easily drag and drop them in their frames. But for me personally, I like to draw each pose manually because I feel it makes the lip sync look smoother and more natural. Also keep in mind how many frames per second you're working in. I work in the standard 24 frames per second, but if you choose to do anything different, remember that you might require more or less mouth poses to illustrate smooth lip motions. I had a live stream the other day and someone requested I do the line, "Curse you, Perry the Platypus," and I recorded myself saying it and then showed my lip sync process for everyone, but I'll do it again for the sake of this video. I'll have the mouth positions here on the side for your reference as you follow along. First, we'll import the audio file by dragging it into Flash, which will then show up in our library, and then you can drag it into our frame and it'll show in your timeline. Be sure to keep it on its own layer and lock it so it doesn't affect your actual drawing. I also like to keep the lip syncing on its own separate layer so I don't have to keep redrawing the character's head or body over and over for every frame. It's important to pay attention to your wave image because it'll determine whether your mouth movements are actually in sync with the audio. Areas where it's flat indicate that it's silent, and areas with expansions indicate that there is sound. And as you listen through, you'll get to notice where the spoken words are in correlation to the wave image.
Curse you, Perry the Platypus!
While I animate, I like to have the Onionskin on, which you can activate by clicking this icon. It shows the grayed out image of the previous and next frames depending on how many you set it to. To keep it simple, I'll set it to one before and one after. Alright, so let's begin. I'll start off with the generic closed mouth because our character isn't exactly saying anything for the first 4 frames. But once we hit 5, you'll notice that the wave image kind of increases to indicate that he actually starts talking. So for the first 4, he is silent, and then at 5, he should say,
Curse you, Perry the Platypus!
curse you. So this whole image from here to there should be curse. And like I said before, I'm going to be redrawing every mouth position instead of dragging it out from a library. So you'll notice I'll be creating new blank keyframes for every new position that I have to draw. And the shortcut for that is F7. And that'll create a blank frame in our timeline. So for the first 3, I'll say 3 frames, it's silent, and then at 4, he'll start to mouth the word curse. So curse starts with a k sound, which I find this position to be the most appropriate, which is the last one I mentioned before. Curse, and that'll go to cur, kind of like an sound with elongated jaw. So I'll use a variation of this one. So okay, well actually more of a combination of this one and this one. So it'll be curse, and then I'll extend the R sound. Curse. Next. Curse, S. So it'll be this one. I'll probably do this detailed explanation just for the word curse, and then for the rest of it, I'll probably move a bit quicker. So curse. Curse you. You'll notice that curse the S sound sounds a bit longer than the rest of the letters in curse. So I'll extend this S position for another frame just so it looks a bit smoother. Curse you. I think that fits. That's good.
Curse you.
So this whole thing is you, and you generally would just let me blank frame that. You would generally just be like this, but if you really want to articulate the word, it would be you, meaning your mouth kind of starts with the long E position. But I'll vary it a bit. I'll kind of be a combination of this and this. So it'll be, it won't show the teeth. Curse. Then I'll kind of push that a bit further. And then this is when the O sound actually starts appearing. Curse you. And when you say you, the O shape of your mouth kind of decreases in size as the word progresses. Curse you. And I'll make one more. So
Curse you, Perry.
So curse
you, Perry.
I think that comes a bit too early, so I'm gonna highlight all of these frames and then drag it one frame later. So we'll see how that sounds.
Curse you, Perry.
You. Okay, so we have
Curse you, Perry.
Okay, and now we have the last bit, which is Perry the Platypus. And that's a bit continuous, so I'll group them together.
Perry the Platypus.
So Perry the Platypus is this whole thing. So Perry, I'll predict that it'll start at this frame. So I'll blank keyframe that. Perry, closed mouth. I'll add this cheek thing for emphasis. Perry. So it'll be the short E sound, which is this one. Perry, R. Perry, long E. Perry. That looks a bit too fast, so I'll extend the in Perry. I'll drag these frames out. Actually, the R should also be extended a bit. So it shouldn't.
You parry the platypus.
You'll notice that it's a bit choppy because I kind of skipped frames. So if you want to make it smoother, you have to add in between frames. Like from this position to this position, I'll make a blank frame in between. And then kind of have a transition from position A to position B. Parry. Actually, I'll put this back here. And then extend the E sound so his mouth will stretch a bit further. Parry. I think that should fit.
You parry the
Parry. Okay, that's good. So this whole thing is parry, and from this point on should be the. So blank frame there. The, which is this one. That's too big. I'll make it a bit smaller. The. Again, that's a bit too fast, so I'll extend the Lisp position a bit longer. Parry the, and I'll extend this too. Make it a bit bigger, and then make another one, make it a bit smaller. Because when you say the, your mouth kind of extends and then retracts. I'll drag this a bit earlier. Okay. The thing with lip syncing is it's very forgiving if you're a bit early or late. Sorry, that was a text. So don't worry if it's off sync at first. You're free to adjust it to its appropriate syncing. The
platypus.
Okay, so this whole thing is platypus. I'm gonna predict that I'm gonna start the P sound here. So the P. Pull L sound. Where is it? Over here. Pull la t plata platypus would be this one, right? Platypus and S sound. Platypus. Now, like I said before, platypus is this whole wave image, but as we drew, our frames only took up this many frames. So as you can tell, this will probably be too quick.
Platypus. Curse you, parry.
That means you'll have to add frames in between these frames because they're too quick. As you practice lip syncing, you'll kind of build an instinct on the timing and how many frames that a certain word will actually occupy. Okay, so let's see how this.
Platypus.
So that is a bit better.
Platypus.
So this last part is puss. So the P sound should start around here. So we have pla ta p p. So this shouldn't start until here. Now the O is a bit more extended, so we'll kind of extend them out a bit. Let's extend it another frame out. So that should be better actually.
Platypus. Curse you, parry the platypus.
Notice how the last part again is a bit choppy because we didn't add in between frames. So let's start adding that.
Platypus.
Let's add a transition from P to the L sound. Pla. Let's add a transition from L to A. Pla. T. Pla. Transition from A to T. Pla transition. I'm gonna extend the t sound a bit, so I'm just gonna add another frame of the clenched teeth. Plata. Extend the a. P. I'm gonna add another Platypus. It's gonna be the same as curse you. We're gonna extend the O a bit by making it smaller and smaller each consecutive frame. Pus. And then we have the S sound, which ends our sentence. So this should be good. The S sound is kind of occupies all of these frames, but you won't have to redraw the S sound over and over for those last 5 or so frames. I think that should suffice.
Curse you!
Okay, so let's listen to it all.
Curse you, Perry the Platypus!
Yeah, that's good actually. Or we could. I think the S comes a bit too soon, so let's take the S sounds and drag it. Let's say 2 frames out.
Curse you, Perry the Platypus!
That's good. That's great. I think that's good enough. Some things might be like a couple milliseconds off, but I mean, when you watch the scene, it shouldn't really matter because you shouldn't, like me, I like to perfect things, but sometimes it's not worth the trouble to make things like 100% perfect. That doesn't make sense because 100% is perfect, so I didn't have to use that. But anyway, yeah, that's it for lip syncing. You'll notice how long that took with all of the explanations, and that was only 1 sentence. So you could imagine how long like an entire dialogue would take. So next time you're like, Dom, what's taking so long with the video? I don't know, maybe lip syncing takes forever, so yeah. But yeah, okay, so that's it for lip syncing. If you have any questions, I kind of want to but I kind of want to continue doing like other tutorials. I don't know if I'll do like an all-inclusive tutorial on Flash, but if you guys have any questions on how to do things in Flash, how the program works, or how to do certain techniques like lip syncing, then feel free to ask, and I'll try my best to see if I can answer them. So hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, that's it. Peace out.